Hi, it's Doug. Have you ever had an x-ray taken before? Maybe you've seen an x-ray of some of your teeth when you go to the dentist. Or if you're like me and you've broken a bone, you get an x-ray done and get a chance to see what part of your own skeleton looks like. Well, someone named Kian has a question about this bone right here. Let's give him a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Kian.
I have a question for you. What would happen if we didn't have a skull?
Ooh, that's a great question.
The skull. It might be the most recognizable bone of our skeleton. Technically, it's not even one bone, but lots of separate bones that fuse or join together while we're still babies. And of course, the skull is a symbol that lots of people use to stand for spookiness, like you see on Halloween or a pirate flag, or as a symbol that stands for death and those who have died, like you see if you celebrate Dia de los Muertos. While you might find it frightening or scary to think of things like that, keep in mind, a skull is not just something that a dead skeleton has. Each of us has a skull in our heads right now, as living, breathing human beings. You can even feel it. So there's a positive, happy side to skulls. All the great things a skull does for us. Can you think of some ways the skull is an important part of your body? There's more than one way. One of the best ways to figure out what the skull does is to do a little thought experiment. Just think for a moment. What if you didn't have a skull? One thing you might have thought of right away is that there would be absolutely nothing to protect your brain. Your brain is one of the most important organs in your body. You could say the most important even. It controls every other part of your body. It's where you think and process all of the information that comes from your senses. Yet the brain is an incredibly soft, mushy part of your body. Having a skull acts like a natural helmet that protects your brain from getting bumped or damaged from everyday movements you might do. But that's not the only thing your skull does for you. Think about some of the other parts of your head. Your skull has these two round holes, almost like little caves, that hold and protect your eyes. On either side of the skull are two round holes that protect all the inner parts involved in your sense of hearing. And don't forget, your skull is home to your sense of smell, as well as your mouth. That includes your tongue and your sense of taste, and your teeth for grinding and chewing up food. And that's not even including the fact that it's starting from these holes in your skull that you're able to take in air you need to breathe, as well as food and water from here. But even this isn't everything your skull does for you. When we look at a picture of a skull like this, where we're just seeing the bone, it's really easy to forget another important thing your skull does for you. But if we add in an illustration of what sits on top of the bone, the muscles that are in your face, oh yeah, without a skull, none of those muscles in your face would have anywhere to sit. In fact, all of them are attached to different parts of your skull. It's these muscles that allow you to open your jaw, raise your eyebrow, smile, frown, or show someone anything you're feeling. So, while the skull might be a symbol of death and spookiness, the skull we each have in our head is pretty awesome and useful. And that's not just true for us either. Lots of animals have skulls too. Any animal that has a skeleton has a skull. Birds have skulls. Reptiles have skulls. Fish. Amphibians. And all the mammals too. All of these animals have brains, and just like us, their skull protects their brain. That's something all of our skulls have in common. But the skulls of animals can look really different from one another. Some are long, like this one with a beak. Some are short, with huge holes for the eyes. Some are gigantic, with big tusks for teeth. Some are pointy and sharp. In fact, scientists can know exactly which animal a skull came from just by looking at it closely. Learning to do that can take years of practice. But even just a few simple observations of animal skulls can teach you some really interesting things. For example, check this out. Are the eye sockets facing forward on the skull, or are they on the sides of the skull? That can tell you whether it's the skull of a predator animal, like a mountain lion, or the skull of a prey animal, like a deer, whose eyes are on the side of its head, so that it can be on the lookout for animals that might want to hunt it. Or check out this skull. Can you guess what animal this one belongs to? Here's something especially weird about this skull. It's got a snout, but notice there's no holes in the end of the snout. There's no nostrils there. So weird, does this animal not have a nose? It does. Look instead on the top of its skull. Now, you see two holes there? That's its nostrils. It's the skull of a dolphin. You might have heard before that dolphins have a hole in the top of their head. It's their blowhole. Dolphins are mammals. They're not fish. They have to come up to the surface of the water to breathe. So do whales, too. A whale has a blowhole as well. By looking at the skull of a dolphin or a whale, you can discover that the blowhole is actually their nostrils. They don't have nostrils at the tip of their snout. Instead, their nostrils are on the top of their heads. So in summary, a skull is an incredibly important part of the body, both for animals and for people. Without a skull, not only would you have no protection for your brain, you'd also have no home for so many of your senses or for the muscles that control all of your facial expressions. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Kian, for asking it. Now, after this video is done playing, my friends and I here at Mystery Science have created a special activity where you can learn more about your own skull and create a paper skull mask. I hope you'll try it. Have fun and stay curious.
How is your skull an important part of your body? What do you think your skull is for? Why do we have it? Can you think of more than one way? So Doug says there's more than one way or more than one reason that your skull is an important part of your body. Can you think of 2 or 3 ways that we use our skull or we need our skull? Discuss with your mom or your dad or a brother or sister that's around you. Why is your skull important?
In today's activity, you'll make a paper model of your skull, the bone inside your head. Now, even though your skull is hidden beneath your skin and muscles, you can find out a lot about it by using your sense of touch. We'll go on a little tour of your own skull. That way, you'll get to feel what you can't see. And while you're at it, you'll get to build a paper skull. When you're done, you can wear your paper model as a mask and scare your friends. I'll show you how to get started step by step. You're going to go on a tour of your own skull. Gently feel your head and your face with the tips of your fingers. Notice, where is it hard? That's bone. Where is it soft? What else do you notice? Take a few moments to do this. Now, be careful when you feel around your eyes. I'll put a timer on screen in case it's helpful. Okay, if you're ready to go to the next step, your skull is made of 2 big bones, your cranium and your jaw. The top part of your skull is called your cranium. It has the important job of protecting your brain. Go ahead and put your hand on top of your head and feel your cranium. As you do this, let's sound out the word cranium together. Cranium. Cranium. You say it. But there are holes or openings in it. Did you notice any soft spots when you felt? Your cranium is a hard bone, but there are holes or openings in it. Did you notice any soft spots when you felt your head and face? These are where the holes are in your skull. Discuss.
How many holes do you think there are in your skull? So when you were feeling around on your skull, could you count how many holes you have? Let's try it now. Feel around. I feel like there's holes for my eyes. What else feels like a hole in your skull?
Some things we noticed. There are 7 holes or openings in your head. Your eyes, your nostrils, your ears, and your mouth. These 2 dark holes on the cranium are your eye sockets, bony cups that protect your eyes. To feel the eye sockets in your own skull, put your fingers on your eyebrow and feel for a bump of bone. Then, gently trace the bony circle around your eye, down to the top of your cheek, and back up again to where you started. Take a look at the cranium in this photo. It's all bone and teeth, all the hard stuff. It doesn't have a nose, and it doesn't have ears. Wiggle your nose and wiggle your ears. Then, discuss.
As you're wiggling your nose and your ears, do you think that your nose and ears are made of bone? Does it feel like there's bone in there? What clues do you see or feel that make you think that? Is my nose made out of bone? I can wiggle it. Are my ears made out of bones? I can wiggle those too.
Here's some things we noticed. The tip of your nose is bendy. So are your ears. They're all made of soft stuff called cartilage. Remember, the skull is just the hard stuff. So the only part of your nose and ears that you can actually see on a skull are the holes that connect them to your brain. We're going to look at one last hole in the skull, your mouth. The bottom part of your skull is your jaw. When you open your mouth, you move your jaw. Move your jaw along with the video.